Medicare does not cover you outside of the United States. Not doctor's visits, not hospital stays, and not prescriptions. There are a few very narrow exceptions. You could possibly be covered by Medicare if you're in the US and the nearest hospital happens to be across the Canadian or the Mexico border. If you're driving a direct route to Alaska through Canada, you may be covered. Or if you're in a cruise ship within 6 hours of the US border. But these exceptions are pretty rare, and they really don't apply to the expat community that I have met, because none of them apply to living abroad. So if you're paying the $202.90 per month Part B premium, and you can't use it overseas, the obvious question is, should you keep paying? And here's why that question is kind of a trap. This penalty catches two different groups, and most videos only talk about one of them. Group 1, you're already enrolled in Part B Medicare. You're moving abroad and you're thinking about dropping it to save money while you're overseas. Group 2, you're turning 65 around the time you're moving abroad, and you're wondering whether to bother enrolling in Part B at all, since you're going to be overseas and you can't use it. Here's the thing, the penalty is identical in both situations. It doesn't matter whether you drop Part B or never enroll in Part B, because Medicare treats it the same. The penalty is 10% is added to your monthly premium for every full 12-month period that you're not enrolled, and it lasts the rest of your life. It's permanent. And the reason both groups get hit the same way is simple. The government doesn't distinguish between I had it and left, and I never bothered to get it. The only questions Medicare asks are, how long were you without coverage? And did you have a qualifying reason? Which brings us to your three options. If this information is helpful to you, hit the subscribe button. Every week I cover Medicare, Social Security, and financial decisions that actually matter for people in our age group. Now here are your three options. And there's one important catch about option 1 that most videos get completely wrong. So option 1, keep Part B while you're abroad. So you pay the $202.90 a month for something that you largely can't use for your regular care. But there is one benefit that's worth understanding. If you also carry Medigap Plan G, it includes a foreign travel emergency benefit, 80% coverage after a $250 annual deductible, up to a $50,000 lifetime benefit. But here's the catch I promised you. That benefit only applies during the first 60 days of a trip outside of the US. If you're living abroad full time, you're not on a trip. The 60-day clock can reset when you travel back to the US and then return. But for the day-to-day life of a permanent expat, it doesn't really help you. So this Plan G overseas emergency benefit is far more limited than what most people believe, because it's not a substitute for daily healthcare coverage. But what this option does do is it protects your ability to return to the United States at any point. Next year, 5 years from now, with zero penalty and full coverage starting immediately. Think of it as an insurance for your insurance. However, the premium is about $200 a month. So you wouldn't only be paying the $202.90, you'd also be paying another $200. So effectively, it would be costing you probably about $400 a month not to have coverage. So this is a pretty expensive option. Okay, option 2, drop Part B entirely or never enroll. You would save $2,435 a year. That's real money. But here's what most expats don't know before they make this call. Whether you're dropping Part B or never enrolling, there's no special enrollment period just because you move back to the US. You have to wait until the general enrollment period, which happens between January 1st and March 31st. And your coverage won't start until July 1st. So here's what this actually means in reality. If you don't plan your return, you could actually be waiting a long time. Say you come back April 1st. You can't enroll until the following January, and then your coverage won't start until July. So you could effectively be going 15 months without Medicare. That's pretty risky through no fault of your own except bad timing. And keep in mind, the 10% per year penalty is still adding up. The only way to avoid this penalty is by having qualifying coverage through an active employer, yours or your spouse's. But the business has to have 20 employees or more. And in my experience, most expats that leave like this either have an online job, so they're a business of one, or they're retired. So they usually don't have this qualifying insurance. So option 3, and this is a strategy most savvy expats use. They keep Part A Medicare because it's free for those who have worked at least 10 years in the US. They drop Part B, or they don't enroll at all if they're turning 65 and they're abroad. They buy a local health insurance plan, which is much cheaper in other countries, or they just pay for healthcare out of their pocket because the cost is so much less than the US. So this plan is pretty smart. Then if and when you return to the United States, you enroll in Part B during the general enrollment period, accept the penalty, and treat it as a cost, but it's offset by the years that you saved this money from not paying Part B. And if you're abroad 5 years or more, the math often still works in your favor, even after accounting for the penalty and the potential 15 months without Medicare coverage. The key word is if. You have to be completely honest with yourself, though. How long are you planning on staying out of the country? So here's what I would tell a friend. If there's any chance that you would move back in 5 years, keep Part B, or enroll in it at 65 if you're heading out of the country. The penalty math doesn't really work in your favor if it's less than 5 years. And you eliminate all the re-enrollment headaches when you do go back to the United States and you don't face that potential gap without coverage. Now, if you're genuinely committed to just staying out of the US, option 3 probably saves you the most money. But you're going to have to run your own numbers. Be honest with yourself about your timeline and factor in the coverage gap, because it lands at whatever time you return to the United States. And the government built that penalty in because they believe that most people will return home. But the decision is really specific to your situation. So subscribe if you want more answers on Medicare, Social Security, and protecting yourself over the age of 60. And if you know anybody who's facing this situation, share this video with them. It could really help them out and hopefully save them some money.